What's going on, you guys? It's Rahul here, back again with another video, and today I want to talk about something that's really been on my mind for a while, and it's something that a lot of people have talked about, throughout this year's playoffs, and it's whether this year's championship should have an asterisk on it. So yeah, before this video does get started, if you guys enjoyed, like the video as it really does help out the channel, and also make sure to subscribe if you guys are new and enjoy this type of content so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I'm finally gonna do a face reveal. But with that being said, let's get this video started. So, this year's playoffs and this year's NBA season, it's safe to say, has had a lot of injuries. And injuries have played a very big part. The regular season standings, it's safe to say, were very shaped up by injuries. Some teams didn't have as good years, like the Lakers, the Celtics, a lot of the Heat as well. I mean, there's a lot of teams that were really affected by injuries, and injuries have been a very big part of the playoffs, and it truly does suck. I really hate to see those guys go down with injuries. I really do hate it, and I'm sure you guys hate it as well. And due to all the injuries, a lot of people feel like the Bucks and the Suns, no matter who wins the championship, the ring will not count. They're putting an asterisk on it and saying, oh, this year's ring will not count because, oh, look at all these injuries, and had those teams been healthy, they wouldn't have made it. And I mean, breaking it down for both sides, the Milwaukee Bucks. So the Bucks aren't scrutinized as much compared to the Phoenix Suns, but they're still scrutinized by, quite a bit of NBA fans. With the first round series versus the Heat, not a lot of injuries, so people don't exactly, scream about that too much, I guess. Then there's the Nets series, and the Nets, they hardly lost this series. Well, I guess a better way to say is the Bucks hardly beat them, and this series went to 7 games, and they beat the Nets in a very exciting game 7 that ended with the Bucks overtime victory. However, at the same time, the Nets, they did deal with injuries. Kyrie Irving suffered an injury. James Harden dealt with an injury that kept him out part of the series and really affected his play, and really affected it. I mean, in game 7 he was just not good, and I do have to be fair to him. He was recovering from a hamstring injury, so that does suck. And a lot of people felt like had both those stars been healthy, the Bucks season would have ended right there. And I mean, we'll get into that later. And then there's the Hawks series, and Trae Young, he dealt with injuries, and I will say the Bucks were favored to win this series, but a lot of people felt like had Trae Young been healthy, well, the Bucks might have actually lost this series, and I guess you could say that might happen. I mean, I probably would have taken the Bucks in like 6 or 7 games, but yeah, there's a good chance the Hawks maybe do win this series had Trae Young been healthy. Then there's the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns get a lot of backlash, and they get a lot of fire from NBA fans, and a lot of people feel like if they win the championship, it should not count. I mean, breaking down their run to the finals, first off, let's go over the Lakers. The Lakers, it's safe to say, I mean, they were dealing with injuries all year. LeBron James suffered an injury. Anthony Davis dealt with injuries all year. And because of that, the Lakers, they were just the 7th seed despite the fact that they won the championship in the previous season. And Anthony Davis hardly played in this series due to an injury. LeBron James really had to play, so he decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and play. However, he wasn't exactly 100%, and because of that, he did not play up to his usual standards. And I mean, because of that, the Suns won this series in 6 games. Then there's the Denver Nuggets, and the Denver Nuggets, they obviously dealt with injuries as well. Jamal Murray had tore his ACL late in the season, unfortunately, for me at least, since I'm a Denver Nuggets fan, and I'm sure it's unfortunate for a lot of other people. And along with that, they had a lot of injuries to a lot of key role players like Monte Morris, Will Barton, and because of that, they had to start guys like Austin Rivers and Facundo Campazzo in the playoffs. And as much as I love Facundo Campazzo, don't get me wrong, if he's starting in the playoffs, that's not good. Then there's the Los Angeles Clippers, who, despite taking them to a 6-game series, I mean, they were without their best player in Kawhi Leonard, who did not play this entire series. Same thing with Serge Ibaka. Well, he's not their best player, but Serge Ibaka was a key role player on that team. And Serge Ibaka, well, I mean, without Serge Ibaka, their rim protection was not as good, and Ivica Zubac even had to miss the final game of this series, and because of that, the Clippers had to run a small ball lineup, and it's safe to say DeAndre Ayton absolutely feasted like it was Thanksgiving with that small ball lineup. And Yeah, the Clippers, they definitely dealt with a lot of injuries. And you might be thinking, Rahul, with all that being laid out, do you think there should be an asterisk on this year's championship? And personally, this might come as a surprise. I don't think there really should be an asterisk on this year's championship. And I don't think people should say this year's championship shouldn't count. I mean, it might come as a surprise, but a lot of people got to realize every single championship is gonna count no matter what. It doesn't matter how evenly matched the teams are. It could be a 1 seed versus an 8 seed. The championship will still count even if the 1 seed wins it. It doesn't matter the injuries. As much as the injuries do suck, it doesn't matter at all. I mean, the championship is gonna count. That's really the point. Every single championship is gonna count unless the NBA, strips a team of a title for whatever reason, alright? And injuries, I gotta say, they are a big part of the game. And I mean, injuries happen every year. So, I mean, that's something that has to be said. Injuries, they are part of the game, and they happen every year. And at the same, not only that, but both teams, they did what was needed. They saw these teams okay, you know what, we gotta beat them if we want to get to the finals. And what do you know? They did just that. And, what were they supposed to do? Lose were they supposed to lose simply because those teams weren't healthy? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, both teams, they definitely did what was needed. And not only that, but to be fair to both teams, they also dealt with injuries themselves. The Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis suffered an injury and he missed part of the Hawks series, so that sucked for them. Then there was the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul dealt with injuries throughout the playoffs, and that also sucks. Devin Booker broke his nose, so that also sucks. Now, a lot of people also gotta keep that in account, and they still made it to the finals. Now, I will be kind of fair though, and say the injuries they suffered, the impact was not as big compared to, the injuries, the other teams suffered. So, I will say that. And not only that, but if you really do nitpick enough, pretty much every title has an asterisk on it. I mean, the 2020 Lakers, you could say that, hey, they were playing in an unusual environment and faced a 5-seeded Heat team that had dealt with injuries. Their title shouldn't count. 2019, Kevin Durant was injured, and the Warriors would beat the Raptors had Kevin Durant been healthy. 2018, the Warriors had a team with like 4 All-Stars on it, and they faced a 4-seeded Cavaliers team that was LeBron James and a bunch of role players. 2017, the Warriors had maybe the greatest team of all time, or at least one of the greatest teams of all time, so they were pretty much gonna win that series. 2016, Draymond Green's suspension and Andrew Bogut's injury. 2015, the Cavaliers didn't have Kyrie Irving or Kevin Love most of that series, and so on. If you really nitpick enough, you could put an asterisk on pretty much every single NBA title. So, and to really summarize it, I don't think there really should be an asterisk on this year's title. Now, I will say, if you think the value of this championship won't be as high compared to other rings, then I can completely get it. And I do kind of agree that the value on this ring won't be as high compared to other rings, because I will say the injuries, there's no denying, like it or not, even if you're the biggest Suns or Bucks fan out there, there is no doubt injuries definitely help both teams, and I do think that will, hurt the value of this championship. But at the same time, I don't think this championship should not count. I don't think there should be an asterisk on this year's championship. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But with that being said, that is all I have for today. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed, as it really does help out the channel. And also make sure to subscribe if you guys are new and enjoy this type of content, so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I'm finally gonna do a face reveal. And also go ahead and check out the first episode of my podcast. Link in the description below and in the pinned comment. But with that being said, I'm out, you guys.